Hello, Facebook world, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all the other places to stream to. I'm pretty happy today to have a beautiful human being sitting with me having a conversation about the building industry at the moment, because there's a lot of different things going on. You often see me sitting here wearing a trademark shirt, and there's reasons for that, right? Because the building industry is a highly emotive industry, and there's a lot of things going on at the minute. So today I thought nothing better than bringing a good mate, Richard Mihaere, in I'll get it right one day, but that's all right. So, but Richard comes in from Resicert Building Inspections, and I really value having him in my life. We're actually a part of a community that have breakfast every Wednesday. B&I builders business builders down there in Kooyong. But we've been having a fair bit of a chat lately, and I think it's very apt that we get you on. So, firstly, g'day, Richard. How are you?
Yeah, good. Scotty, yourself?
Yeah, giddy. Oh, mate, I'm really good. I am.
Much.
I'm pumped up for what's coming up. You know, we're working together with good people, so I think it's a really good place to be at the moment. So, but getting you on here today, before we jump into anything else, I want to grab something that I loved learning from you. Talk to me about Wanu.
Wanu? Or
Yeah,
Whānau?
Whānau.
Whānau.
Whānau with the, yeah,
Yes.
all right.
So there's no F in the Maori language. So WH is our F, if you like.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's Whānau, which is obviously which means family, and I think family is probably at the core of us all. You know, it's where we've come from, where we're going, where we are. It's certainly a big part of our culture and for many cultures. So it's very important to me. I have 4 wonderful children. Some days, I've got a granddaughter and another one on the way, another grandchild on the way, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, family's very much the essence of my life.
Yeah, well, I love that because you got the Maori culture, right? And one of the things that we talked about was the connection you still have to the homeland, and that's something for me that was really beautiful.
Yeah, well, as you saw in the presentation I did as part of our group sessions at B&I Business Builders in Kooyong is, I think it's really important to acknowledge where you're from. It certainly has a big, whether you realise it or not. Sometimes subconsciously you may not, but it certainly has a big impact or influence on who you are, how you behave, what you do, sort of thing. So it's very important for me to acknowledge that aspect of my character and where I'm from.
Yeah, and I like that because character's something that I'm a big fan of. Good character, and it's clearly giving you good steed. So thank you for sharing that with us, especially with everyone down there at B&I.
Yeah, no,
no, all good. All right, so the building industry. Let's talk about the building industry. So you work for Resicert?
Yeah, so well, it's not like this. Well, I'm part of a franchisee, so it's part of it is my business in a sense, but I'm part of a larger group of building and property inspectors through the Resicert franchise.
Yep.
So yes, seen a lot of different things lately, as probably we're all seeing in the media of late. A lot of big builders going bankrupt and whatnot, and I don't think we've seen the end of that, to be honest. I think there's still a bit more to come.
What are you seeing out there?
Well, yeah, like everyone wants to slam the builders, and in some cases that's probably fair, especially some of the bigger volume builders, because a lot of the smaller guys can't compete at that level in terms of pricing. I feel sad for, like, for example, the Port of Davis. They had 1,700 homes on the go at the time when they went belly up. So a lot of these people have got to apply for the insurances through VMIA, which is a lengthy process because obviously they're backlogged for ever and a day. But then to have the work finished, another builder's got to come in, and if it's a smaller builder who can't compete with that price, they just don't have the budget to to be able to facilitate the costing to finish the build. So it's not a good time for any of us in that regard.
Yeah, because it does affect the whole industry when that happens. It's not just the builder. It's a flow-on effect, right? Because all the trades, they miss out on their payments and they miss out on their work. They've got to restructure their businesses. So it's quite a significant thing to lose 1,700 homes.
Oh no, it certainly is. And then I mean, we talk about the builder and the tradies and that, but imagine all those families. What are all those families doing now? Like they've all put all their lives, they've put their life savings or whatever the case may be into, trying to provide a nice home and environment for their family, and they're left standing out in the cold, literally. So,
Yeah,
so
literally.
yeah, so the impact, the domino effect is widespread, and and as I mentioned, I don't think we're going to see the end of it. I don't think we're at the end of it just yet.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different issues going on at the moment. A lot of supply issues, trade issues.
Yeah.
Well, what are you seeing personally on your jobs at the minute? That because what exactly? Actually, we'll start with that. What exactly do you do?
So a lot of the work I do is in the pre-purchase space of buying a home. So anyone that for most people that buy a home these days, I think should form part of your diligent process to have an inspection done, because I always find it ironic that people are happy to spend a few $1,000s a year on a car for car insurance, that the car might be worth $15,000 or $20,000, yet I'll happily spend $1 million or $1 million plus on a home and won't have it checked out. Obviously, I have a vested interest in that being a building inspector, but I should think it should form part of everyone's due diligence, because it's probably the cheapest form of home insurance you can have, is to have someone, a knowledgeable person come out and assess the structure, and then, so you can move forward in the process confidently that your money's going well spent. You're not going to, find out you got $150,000 worth of damages to the property that you're going to be responsible for once you've signed off on the contract. So, I mean, for the most part, they usually have terms attached to a pre-purchase inspection in terms of the contract. You're allowed to have a building inspection performed, and usually they give you a time frame to conduct that in. And if I find any major structural issues, or for example, termites active at the property, then that allows you to rescind the contract. You don't have to move forward with it, but at least you have some understanding of any issues that are in the home before you move in or sign off.
Yeah, brilliant. Are you doing any inspections for private clients with their builders? Because I know that's becoming a big thing at the moment, where families are getting a little bit more nervous about their builders, and they're actually starting to organise private inspectors to come out and check out the work, just to ensure that things are done right.
Well, there's a couple of layers to that. So we have what we call mandatory inspections, which are inspections done at certain stages of the home, for like your slab and your footing, your framing, your waterproofing, and your finish. So your roughing for the fixing stage. Sorry. So people can have, and like you can. Sometimes the builder will forward someone that they're happy to have you utilize their services to conduct those inspections. But I'm always a big believer, like, sometimes you better the devil you know. A lot of times those people are actually aligned with the builder, so you're better off sourcing your own independent inspector. And that's another inspection I do, is handover defects, which is for a newly built property. So prior to you handing over the final payment, I actually just done one today, funny enough, for a beautiful home in Glenroy. Beautiful home. It's probably around the $2.8 million mark. So, for less than $1,000, I can go in and tell him that your 2.8's been well spent, or otherwise. So at least they have that awareness. And part of the handover defects inspection entails me highlighting any defects for rectification before they make the final payment. So it's good to have that process underway, because even if it does take a little longer, at least it's documented in that time frame for you to have that. So it's all acknowledged that these are issues that need to be rectified by the builder under the warranty period.
Yeah, and I love that, because like it's another insurance, isn't it, really? Because if you're not in the building industry, what are you actually looking at? Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, you have specific trades. You have your electricians, your plumbers, your carpenters, whatnot, roof tilers. So as a building inspector, I'm actually looking at the whole picture, the whole kit and caboodle. So it pays to have someone who has some insight and some experience to identify and isolate any issues and give you some recommendations how to resolve that and rectify them. So, and at least have that information and awareness. As we all know, information is power. So the more information you have, when you've spent a large part of your cash is to make sure it's well spent.
Yeah, 100%. Well, even if you're buying a house that's worth 300,000-400,000, to have a private inspection come in and actually just check over it, I think is even more valuable than your $2.8 million house, to be honest.
Well, hey, Scotty, if you can find me a house for 300 or 400 grand, sign me up, brother, because I don't know where they're getting too many loans these days.
You're not. And that's one of the things going on in the building industry at the moment. Like, we're short on houses, we're short on trades, we're short on materials. It's becoming a real opportunity to work through, So one of the things I heard you say, which I off the cuff, and I'm always off the cuff, but being a part of a franchise right now, as a small business owner, being a part of a franchise, what kind of support does that give you?
Well, I mean, for me, obviously they have a lot of systems and places that allow you to, like, because as a small business owner, and I'm sure there's a lot of small business owners out there that would know what I mean. You spend so much time working on your business, in your business, you forget to work on your business because you're wearing, you're the one that's sourcing the work, you're the one trying to do the jobs, do the reports, pay all the bills, manage this, manage that. So it can get a little time-consuming and overwhelming, and sometimes you forget, we hear our president Sam speak about it a lot. Take time to smell the roses. I think it's really important to do that. And sometimes when you're wearing so many hats, you lose sight of, it's hard to see the forest through the trees, sort of thing. So, but the franchise aspect of it, there's a couple of other things in terms of support that, the training, obviously, and working with so many experienced inspectors. Nobody knows everything. I don't care what anyone says. Nobody knows everything. There's so many different aspects to a building. There's so many different elements that you be across, and even the age of a property. I've looked at properties that are 150 years old, and so how do you have some understanding of the types of foundations and how the structures were built back in those times? So to have so many other guys that I can call at any given time, just for a bit of inside information, a bit of support, and because as I say, no one knows everything about building, and the Australian standards and the construction codes are constantly evolving and changing, and you need to be across all that stuff, and to have that support's really helpful.
Yeah, I love that, because Business to Smiles is about community working together so that we're stronger together, right? So being a part of a franchise, that gives you that opportunity. It gives you a network of people to not only get support from, but you're able to support them. But the knowledge, right? The building industry, as you said, it's a very complex industry with so many different changes, so many different styles of building, that to have a broader network of people that you can call on and actually get support from, I think is awesome. So talking of which, you're a part of BNI, right? Now, I am really loving our chapter in Kooyong there, because it's a very diverse group of people who support each other. Like, it's just beautiful. What was your purpose in becoming a BNI member?
Well, it's funny, where I live. So our former president was David, who runs boutique conveyancing. So I popped into his office one day a couple of years ago, just to, because I just started my business, so a little bit of self-marketing, and just trying to get a bit of awareness in my own local areas about my services. And David invited me along, and a year and a half, 18 plus months later, here I am. So I've really enjoyed the process. It's been, as you say, the support's phenomenal. And once again, it's that information sharing, like a lot of knowledgeable people that were like-minded in terms of running their own business. They've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and it's a great resource to tap into.
Yeah, I'm finding that myself, and it's good people. Like, really
I think
good
that's
people.
I think that's more important than anything else, isn't it? Because if you don't feel comfortable in that environment with people that you trust and engage with, then everything else is really moot, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant. Well, it's I would highly encourage business owners in particular to get around any sort of support networks. Monday nights, I sit with the builders from around Australia, and we talk about our emotional awareness, and we make sure we process all the things that we need to process, so that we can have the conversations without the emotion, so that we can get the result that we require, rather than add more fuel to the fire. So your support network is so important for that. Like just going into B&I with, like Sam, you've got James, you've got Bettina, David, all these beautiful people that if you ask a question, they're going to help you resolve that. And I think that's such an important part, because if you've got answers, you're not carrying the frustration with it. So I love being a part of that, the network group there. So
I think it's funny you say that, Scott. The people always say take the emotion out of a decision, but it's really hard to, like, we're, as humans, we're emotive creatures. That's it's a big part of who we are. So it's really hard to take that part of the component of your chemistry out of the equation. But and I've noticed with myself, mate, my youngest, who's my daughter Taylor, she's doing year 12, just not recently turned 18. I've probably had more emotional intelligence growth with her in the last 18 months than probably my whole life, So it's been an incredible phase of growth for me.
Well, do share. What's been the growth?
I like probably a lot of us from our age bracket, our demographic. The world was a bit of a different place for us. We didn't have PlayStations and mobile phones, and we had street lights and coin phones, dial-up phones. So didn't have internet or any of these sort of things, and so it was a bit of a old school sort of, if one of a better way to put it. So I was raised in a very non-emotive environment where you didn't speak about how you felt or what was bothering you. You just got on with it. And my daughter's a little bit of a different kettle of fish in that regard. She's wears her emotions on her sleeve. I'm very happy to tell the world about it. And part of the Instagram and Facebook era, it's a different world that they live in, and so I've needed to evolve my emotive capabilities and understanding to make sure I keep that relationship with it, because it's obviously that's of paramount importance to me. And so I've had to do a bit of learning, a bit of growing, and wasn't always comfortable. But we love and care about each other at the core, and that's the main thing. And we'll continue to evolve and support each other and love each other, hopefully.
And I love this, right? Because as much as we work and much as we go and do all these amazing things, this is the other work. This is the part that we need to try and get right for the relationships that really matter. They're the ones that really hit the heart. Like I'm clearly all about heart, and quite often I come to our meetings and I just drop my heart on the table. I get a bit of silence around it. But these are the things that really make a big difference. So what's been your biggest lesson in the last 18 months? What's the one thing that you've been able to implement?
Oh, just no, I wouldn't say judgmental. Obviously, just have some understanding about, like as parents, we always want to think we have some form of control about how our children are going to evolve, develop, and behave, but that's based on your environment from when you were growing up. And I imagine my parents probably were thinking the same things when I was growing up, like, what the hell is he doing? And so it just, she's helped me to just obviously evolve my emotional intelligence and be a bit more aware about how my actions can impact her, even though I have no thought process to what I'm doing is going to impact anyone else, but she's maybe fully aware it does. And so I'm a bit more mindful, a bit more open, a bit more engaging with communications, and just been a bit more present in the moment, instead of, because you're running your own business, doing this, doing that, paying bills, paying the mortgage. You always, and at the end of the day, you're doing these things because you want to provide for your family. That's the reason why you do it in the first place. But it's like I said before about working in the business instead of on the business. It's the same sort of thing with your children and your family. Sometimes that you're so busy working on what you think is what they need, you forget to remain present and engaged sometimes in the moment. So, yeah, she's been really good for that.
I'm sorry, I'm smiling quite heavily at the moment. I haven't had the comments on, and I'm spewing. I haven't had them on. I'm sorry, and improving our relationships with ourselves in this aspect, which is something that's for me, we're learning, and just listening to you at the moment, I'm smiling quite heavily because I'm so proud of the men in our community. Like this is to talk about how our emotions impact our family. That's not a conversation our fathers had.
No,
You know what I mean?
not at all.
And here we are, two robust guys, sitting here from the building industry, talking about how our emotions affect other people. Like, have it. Like, if you're listening to that, grab that. Right? How far have men come recently? I'm so proud of all the men in my life for being able to be aware of that, to acknowledge that, to try and do things different. So from my heart to yours, Richard, I'm so bloody proud of you because you had to learn that. That wasn't taught you. You had to learn that, and I think our kids are one of the biggest learning curves I've ever had.
Yeah, they certainly are.
But their challenging us in new ways, and I think that's the beautiful thing. So I'm gonna grab this quickly, Richard, because it's a good comment that's just come through. Great to hear Richard use words like emotional intelligence and present. That's progress and growth. Well done, fellas. Mate, you should be really proud of that because I think
thank you, Liz.
yeah, because it's pretty cool, right? And so listen, I think we could sit here and talk about the building industry for a long time, but I do want people to watch this. So I'm gonna throw a little spanner in the works because one of the things that's really important to me is that people do get to know you. You're a fantastic building inspector. I highly encourage people to use Richard, learn about him. I'll put a link to his website in the comments. But I've got some questions for you. A few couple of curveballs for you. 3 people, dead or alive. You're having a dinner party. Who would you invite?
My father be the first one. We didn't always have a close relationship growing up, but as I got older, I got a lot of better understanding of what preceded me in terms of his life and how he grew up. So and we connected really well towards the end, but there was a lot of missed years there. Bruce Lee. I would love to meet him. I would love to have met Bruce Lee. I've always been a bit of a martial art fan, and so he'd be one. And my dad, and probably my grandparents. I don't know. I didn't get this. My grandfather on my dad's side passed away when I was fairly young, and I have nothing but haunting memories of him being a returned serviceman, and so there was a lot of trauma he carried that he didn't really get to resolve, I guess, and that's had some impact on my father, how he was raised, and so in line, that's how it's impacted how I sort of evolved a little bit too, and that's why my daughter's been so great for help me sort of shift and move on from some of those, because we all experience a lot of trauma in our lives we don't really deal with, or we're probably not aware of it at the time. But I mean, there's age is not always great. Getting a little older, Father Time gets us all, but it does give you a bit better understanding and dealing with things and understanding things, putting them in perspective a little bit. So, yeah, mainly family, but definitely Bruce Lee. The first movie I saw, my father took me to. This is many years ago in New Zealand when I was a young fella. I think it was Big Boss. I don't know. Many people might not remember all that, but it was Bruce Lee's first movie, and I think I was 4 or 5, whatever. I was hooked straight away. So,
I love it. But I think I'm listening to you there, and I love the people that you would invite. Your father, Bruce Lee, and your grandfather. I think that is beautiful, especially considering how you've grown up and what you've embraced in life and how you're challenging that. Like one of the things that we talk about a lot on my Monday nights is the emotional awareness. And it all starts with that. It all starts with what are our emotions doing to other people. And for you to embrace that, I love it. The comments are coming through like this. You're breaking cycles, evolution, amazing, mate. You will impact your grandchildren and beyond just because of the work you're doing on that. So I honor that. So one last question before we go. I've got a bag of them to pick from. So I'm just going to pick one that's not too curly. If you could ask your father just one question, one more question, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Hmm.
I had so many questions for him.
What were they?
Well, I don't know if I'd have a question for him. I think I would. I would just because I'm the oldest. I was his oldest son, his firstborn son. So there's a bit of a thing in Maori culture that usually the firstborn son usually you have a certain amount of responsibility, and coming to Australia that changed things a little bit. But I guess I would just like to talk to him about that I have some understanding, because I didn't when I was younger, that some of the things he went through. So I would like to sort of talk to him about that, and just sort of say, not forgive him, because I don't want to make it like that. Just tell him I understand. He's had a pretty tough life, and he never spoke about it. He wasn't one of those guys. He's pretty just head down and move forward. But he had a lot of trauma in his life that he never really, and I think obviously, as I said earlier, that impacted how he interacted with us. And I'd like to say to him, I don't fully understand, but I have some understanding around about why and how, sort of thing. So I would like to have a conversation with him about that. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think
Cool.
so. I do this consistently. I tap myself out. Oh no, don't talk to me today. There we go. I'm back. Well, Richard, I've really, really enjoyed today. I really want to say a massive thank you for coming on today and sharing a little bit about you as much as anything, because I'm really proud to walk this journey called life with you. I can't thank you enough for supporting the business of Smiles. I can't thank you enough for being a part of my community. But just listening to you today, a man with integrity, a man with heart.
Well, this is the first time I've done anything like this. So I'm not normally open to, wearing my heart on my sleeve in public. But anyway, I'd also like to thank you, mate. I think you're doing amazing work. Your ability to keep smiling and keep pushing forward, and the work you're doing, in your respective community is just amazing. So a lot of kudos to you, mate. It takes a lot of character and a lot of courage. So I really, if I had a cap on, mate, I'll be doffing it to you. So
thank you, mate.
Good on you, mate. You keep it up. Bro. You're doing a good job. Good on you. We need more people like you in the world. It'll be a better place.
It's a better place when we have the emotional awareness and we walk it together, and that's what I'm so proud of. But I really want to thank you for that, and saying that means the world to me, Richard. So, all right. So if you need a building inspector that's going to really look after you, what do you reckon Richard would do? Do you reckon he'd make sure he'd cover the I's and dot the T's? I reckon he might. I'd cover the I's and dot the T's, cross the T's and dot the I's. But I love it. I love it. So beautiful. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa, and thank you for watching. Look, there's going to be more of these pop up, because I'm growing. I'm getting more a bigger network of people supporting the business of Smiles, and I want to introduce you to them because they're good people, and I really value having them in my life. So, Richard, thank you so much for coming on your first podcast, and especially sharing you, because it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, mate.
Well, I appreciate it, Scotty. Keep up the good work, brother.
Giddy up. All right. That's that. Sorry, was that? Did you have something you wanted to add then? No.
I just said no. Keep up the good work, mate. Keep going.
Thank you, mate. We will do. We'll get some more socks out and about. All right, so people, thank you very much. I'm going to pop up a little bit more randomly over the next little bit, because there's some people I really want to introduce you to. Not unlike Richard, good hearts, good people doing good things. So working together, I think we're going to create some amazing things. On that note, where's the button? Right. So one of the things I have trouble with, Richard, is finding a button.
I saw that with Ben.
I just can't find it. It's a bit of a bugger. But anyway. Oh, there we go. And I did that. So I'm going to try and find the button. Thank you everybody for joining us, and I'll pop up soon, no doubt. Okay. Hang